Big.
All right. What we're going to do is we're going to look at the cell cycle. So I had you draw a circle because we're actually going to be drawing the cycle inside of that circle. So I'm going to draw a circle up here on the board. Yeah, it's going to look kind of like the CD that you traced.
How did you do that so perfectly?
Like that. I'm amazing in every way. And what we're going to do is I'm going to draw some little arrows because this is going to be the direction that the cycle is going to be going. So this is clockwise. That's a terrible arrow. Just messed up my beautiful circle. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at the different stages of the cell life cycle. So first thing I want to do is I want us to kind of make a big pie piece like this.
How many are we going to have?
Just do it exactly like me and you'll never go wrong. So make a little section off like that. The first part of any cell's life cycle is what we call the G1 phase. G1 phase. And the G stands for gap. And that's just because this is a gap between cell divisions. That's why they call it that name. But there are some very specific things that happen to the cell during this time. And one of them is that the cell is growing. So I kind of associate the G in G1 with growth. So we have cell growth and normal functions. So if we're not dividing and we're doing normal stuff, is that metaphase or interphase?
Interphase.
That's interphase. So this is part of interphase.
Can we write that too?
You can. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to draw a little bitty cell up here with a nucleus in it, and it's going to get bigger. It's going to grow. So that's just a visual reminder to me that the main thing that happens in the G1 phase is what?
Growth.
Growth. Cell is growing, getting bigger. All living things grow and develop. So if this is one of your body cells, they're getting bigger. If this is one of those protozoans like we looked at, a single cell, they're doing the same thing. They're just growing, eating, getting bigger. So G1 comes first. What do you think is the second phase?
G2.
No, it's actually not G2. It is what we call the S phase. I set you up for that. And the S stands for snuffleupagus. I'm kidding, it doesn't. It stands for synthesis. What does synthesis mean? To put something together. So in this case, we're going to be putting together DNA. So this is the phase of the life cycle where we have DNA replication. What does it mean? What does replicate mean?
To make a copy.
Make a copy. So this is the part of a cell's life cycle where it copies its DNA. So to remind me of that, I'm going to draw one double helix, which represents one set of DNA. And it's going to become how many sets? Two. Because I start out with one set of DNA, and then I replicate it, and I end up with two. And this is the S phase of cell's life cycle, where we're going to replicate DNA.
Otherwise known as?
DNA replication?
No.
Copying?
No, the first one was interphase. What's this one?
Oh, this is still part of interphase.
Oh.
Because the cell's not dividing yet. So this is still part of interphase. The third part of the life cycle is going to be what we guessed a minute ago, the G2. And we're going to have more growth. But the main thing is we are going to get ready to divide. So the cell is going to prepare for mitosis. It's going to make more organelles. So it's going to make more mitochondria. It's going to make more vacuoles. But it's getting ready to do what?
Divide.
Divide. So I'm going to draw, give myself a little visual here. I'm going to draw a cell. Oops. Don't want that. I'm going to draw a cell getting larger to remind me what's going on during this phase. Growing. And the last phase is cell division, which we can call mitosis.
This is the last stage.
This is the last stage of the life cycle. And I'm going to draw this kind of funny, so draw it like I do. I'm going to draw a little upside down L shape. Like that. And there's a reason for that. And then I'm going to make 3 lines that are going to give me 4 divisions.
That was excellent.
Now, these first 4 sections are going to represent the 4 stages of mitosis. So the first stage is always what?
Prophase.
Prophase. Thank you. Then's going to come what?
Metaphase.
Metaphase. There's only one person here today. And then's going to come?
Anaphase.
Anaphase. There we go. And then's going to be? Telophase. Now, this last thing that happens is what? Cytokinesis. And the reason I drew it as this little L-looking shape is because cytokinesis and telophase kind of overlap each other. They kind of start happening at the same time. So that's why I kind of drew them overlapping each other. And this is the basic cell life cycle.
Pardon the interruption, just a reminder, tomorrow is G.
And finally, there are some cells that do not continue in the cell cycle. So we're going to draw a line that comes, oops, that's not what I meant to do. There we go. We are going to draw another line that comes out, and we're going to go to the G0 phase. And this is a phase of non-dividing cells. In other words, these are cells that are never going to reproduce ever again. They're not going to divide. They're not going to make more of themselves. They're just going to stay in interphase forever. And those are, for example, brain cells and muscle cells often go to a G0 phase where there is no cell division. So they're no longer in the cell cycle. They will stay in interphase forever. They will not go through mitosis. They stay in a phase called G0. So they come out of the cell cycle.